Okay. Anything else, Jason? We gotta move right on down to ARPA, don't we?
ARPA. Just handed out my accounting, I guess, as far as where the ARPA is. I know I sent it to Jackie last week. We've got a little reconciliation yet to do.
Yeah.
But I guess as far as our records go, I did it a little different as far as what all the contract amounts or invoice amounts were. I know Jackie mentioned the rate study. I think that's the fifth line there next to V and K she didn't think was being paid with ARPA money.
And one snuck through.
That's what threw me off, was I caught one of them that was on her spreadsheet, so.
Cause I was just splitting that between water and wastewater.
Okay.
I didn't really think that had to do with the other stuff that we were doing.
So are we gonna take it off the ARPA then, or?
Is there any way to just leave things where they are and just have that little chunk? Cause it crosses years and everything else. I just
Gonna be
kinda,
more paperwork to go back.
yeah,
So if you
Yeah.
send me
That's
the
fine.
amount, I'll
Okay.
include that.
I'll do that.
So these are all the costs from the spreadsheets that she had. I have some additional items in there for quotes that we've received. Disinfecting the water tower, central tank, the mixer relocation. I don't believe you've received invoices on those yet, but I do have quotes on those. Electrical at the tower, that's for hooking the mixer up. I know Jake has contacted Grow Electric to get them out there to hook that mixer up. Water meters, digital readouts. AJ, you had some quotes on those, correct? Is that work gonna get done? As far as we're gonna proceed with that?
I think we should, it's part of our system that brings it up to date. So I would say let's put it in on that too.
Okay,
Cause it's, if they're running slow, and they're not reading right, we're losing money, then the county is, so.
yep. Then we've got McKinnis excavating for the water main work, that's complete. Vesco for, I don't remember what the control, pump, chemical,
pump heads.
chemical feed pump heads. Due to the higher pressure, they had to put different pump heads on those. Electric pump, they're scheduled for this week, Jake?
The ninth.
Next week.
Yeah.
To do some MCC or some upgrades for the controls, so they'll operate the VFDs on the well pumps rather than having to go to each well, VFD and do it there manually. And then just some other miscellaneous items, metal culverts, north central mechanical. What was north central, that was some at the wastewater.
Air handler.
Air handler at the wastewater plant. West Tech for some filter tests, which I don't know if you ever did get an invoice on that. And then the wells, which brings us up to around $669,000 as far as the amount that I anticipate me spending out of this ARPA budget. And then at the bottom there, I have not awarded work, central tank for the small tower interior. I got an updated quote from them, $50,000 to redo the interior of that, which would put us just over your 700,000, which if I adjust that rate study, we're gonna be really close, I think. So, I don't know, Jackie, if you're needing to, I guess mainly, do we wanna proceed with the small tower interior? It's gotta be awarded by the end of the year.
We have to.
I think you need to as well.
We have to get it sealed back up so it doesn't just sit there and rust.
Yep.
By not being used, cause it'll still be moisture, hot and cold inside there, and it's just gonna deteriorate, and we don't want that.
Yeah, like I said, I got a updated quote from them last week. To me, $50,000 for complete blast and recoat with quality paint materials is pretty good buy. So,
Okay. Yeah, I'd say we stick with that.
so you wanna put that on your next agenda to approve the contract?
Sure. Yep, if you've got one.
I'll forward it to Jackie.
Okay.
And you can work on that in the next
Yep.
agenda. Is there anything I'm missing on there? I know there's been a lot of piece, some of this I wasn't involved with, a lot of it I was, and Jackie's been keeping a running total, but I tried to identify what everything was, just so I could see if we were missing anything.
I don't think so, I think we've got it all.
And what I had agreed with everything else.
You guys are,
What you would check?
Yeah,
You guys
I
are-
went through and matched them all up.
you guys are matching? Okay, good, that's all that matters then, so. No, if we can get all the work we wanted done, plus a little bit more, for just over 700,000, I think
We're gonna be
that's
right,
good.
right at the 700, I think.
Right.
Yep.
So that's good, so.
Yeah, it's gonna be close.
So where we're at, yeah, where we're at, let's get it nailed down
Yep.
and we can, then we'll know what we've got left to approve, earmarking that. For the end of the year, so.
So are you gonna approve the water meters, digital readouts?
Well,
formally?
yeah, I'll get that, quote to Jackie too, and we'll approve that next week.
Okay,
Cause I did send that to you too, didn't I?
yeah,
I think,
that's
yeah,
where I got
that's
the
what I
numbers
thought.
from.
I'll get that and forward it to Jackie, so then we'll have those two done.
And the electrical at the towers, hopefully this week.
I hope so.
Yeah,
That
the way the
one-
weather looks sooner than later. The cord's all the way down, right? They just need to,
They finished that in the last week, so
okay, so they just need to connect.
we need to get an indicator light on there and then connection,
Okay,
so.
okay. Good.
So my estimate should be plenty high for that work.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a panel right there, it's just putting a breaker in and hooking it up.
Was there, we already got a meter, everything?
Yeah, there's a panel right on the tower.
Okay. And
And there's a meter out there, you know, off to the northwest, so there's.
by the wellhead,
Yep, there's already power ran over to it.
alright. Sounds good. We'll approve the rest next week then and get that nailed down, so. Anything else, Jason?
That's it. for me.
Okay. Thank you. Drainage, we didn't have any claims or anything, did we? Did we have one? We did. Oh yeah, that was that one. Yeah, we talked about it last week. Rogers Brothers
Yep.
up there, now
Oh, on
now the
Woodward.
engineer's taking on the whole
Yep.
ditch thing, right?
Yep.
Alright, is there a motion to approve drainage claims?
So moved.
Alright, I'll second it. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, DD 13, Rich. Found
Oh,
some history?
yeah, I found a lot of history.
That's good.
Well, from what I can gather from Colton and I met out there with, Ms. Rothove and her landlord and discussed what had happened, and I went back and looked through some of the as-bills on the 105, or not the 105, the Deer Creek watershed. And it seems to me, what I think might be happening out there is back in 77, a relief line, a 14-inch relief line was put in parallel to the old 8. Now, our map up there doesn't show this tail, but there's evidently one, I think it's an 8-inch, I'm not positive what size it is. So there's an intake in the ditch, and this is south. Intake here and an intake on the big 14-inch. Now they've tiled their field and they've tied it into the 14-inch. This intake on the south side here is plugged. It doesn't take any, you can barely see the top of the tile, which when they did the relief line, they started adding more intakes on that 6-inch line to take surface water and looks like they left the big line to take more of the groundwater. But then they put equalizers in to tie them together to equal. But I think what happened, this is a theory, we got all that rain, and since that 6-inch is plugged, it was up to that 14-inch line to take all the surface water that was draining. There may be, I mean, what we left with is, there's nothing for us to check under the road on the 14-inch, and I don't think the 14-inch is really the problem. We're gonna dig up, there's 2 intakes on the 8-inch, I'm gonna call it an 8-inch, because I think that's what it is. There's 2 intakes in the 8-inch that go on Partridge. We're gonna dig up both sides and see if there's something wrong underneath the road. And then there's another crossing on 500th Street that crosses that's the old 8-inch too, that all this is tied in together. and then the 14-inch tie, it crosses somewhere else, but I think maybe this old 8 inches maybe collapsed in places or is plugged. But if this 6-inch, or if this 8-inch line couldn't take any surface water during that rain event, it was all left up to that 14-inch. And he said it was wet for a long time, and then all of a sudden it just sucked. So I mean, this thing was probably working overtime on a lot of things. So what we're gonna do when we get a chance, and we'll talk to you about maybe getting something to see if there's any collapse, but we're gonna dig up on both sides of the road in these two locations and find out if the crossings are any good. If they're any good, then it's up to the district to find out. I know they're pretty leery about wanting to create a big mess for, I said, you're entitled to your drainage, and usually it's not the people on the top that have the problem, but apparently you do. I mean, they're flat up there, but I think what's happening is they're just getting, there's a lot of drainage going. There's a lot of silt in the south ditch on 500 Street that they think there's an intake on the south side of the road. I can't find any documentation that there ever was, but maybe somebody put one in. We can't find it. There's a lot of silt in that ditch, and there's a lot of silt on the other side, which, if that intake were opened up, if it was just the intake, I mean, if there's silt in that intake, it's blocked somewhere. So it may be that 8-inch relief line maybe needs to be replaced if we can't find what's going on other than that. The intake, the big intake on the 14-inch had water setting in it. I think these other two intakes, I'm trying to remember what Colt said now, if there was water in one and not the other, I can't remember what he had said now. So there may be just a problem in this line here, but I'm not positive. Like I said, they added more intakes to take surface water in 77 when they put the relief line in. Or, other than that, it could have been just that much water dumping at one time.
Right.
But there's I can see ponding water in fields over here too, so something might be in that old system just not working as efficiently as it should be.
Yeah.
So we left there, and I told them that we would dig up on our side. We'll start there, we'll look and do investigation in our ditch, maybe do some ditch cleaning too, make sure we can get the water to drain, because even further up here, there's some more intakes that tie into that old one. They're not really affecting anything. There's a low spot up here that drains into there, but I don't think that's contributing to any of our problem. But we did find those too. There's a lot of silt in those ditches up there. So where we left it is we're gonna do some investigation on secondary road side and the ditch to find out what's working, what's not, and go from there, I guess.
Sounds good. Sounds like it needs
But
to be done.
it's just trying to, it took a while just to kind of understand what they had done back then, and judging by what, like I said, judging by what I found out, and maybe what's happening out there is maybe that old system just isn't keeping up the way it should, so.
It could be dated pretty well too. With old concrete or clay.
Well,
Who knows?
I think it's clay. I think the old one is clay, and the new one, that 14 inches, is concrete, so I think that was probably, they said when they tied into the 14-inch, so. But the landowner, the renter said that every once in a while they're seeing old clay chunks, so maybe there is a problem somewhere else. Which wouldn't be surprising, I mean, as old as that system is.
Right.
I mean, that map's old, and I can't remember when it was established, but being that old and then not showing the actual addition on there, it's really weird how those maps are that, so it's confusing what's there, what isn't there.
Right.
And I think the NRCS had probably better maps that the consultant worked off of in 77 to know that there was actually a line there, so. I think we found all the intakes that our plans show. And so, actually even downstream on 500 Street to the east, one of those field intakes is leaning over, so maybe had been taken in some silt too, and maybe it's plugged somewhere there too that's really causing a problem. But we'll know once we dig up our crossings and find out if there's anything going on,
Okay.
so.
Sounds like a plan, I guess.
Yeah, well, then it got cold.
Of course. So, do what we can,
But
right?
that's the direction we're gonna take on our end anyway.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything else on that?
So.
Okay, let's move on, claims.
Motion to approve the claims.
Motion to approve payroll claims, I will second it. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. Any reports? No. Payroll eligibility or salary changes? Sheriff's office. Increase for, he's a new officer, right, Chris? New officer, but increased pay? And Cole, increased pay for him, another new officer?
Yep.
Motion to approve. Alright, there's a motion to approve the payroll increases, and I will second them. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Alright, liquor license? Nope. Manure management?
Yeah, Dwayne Christians.
No, we did that one last week.
Oh, did,
Yeah, I think we did.
We did
Okay.
Dwayne's
We
last
did
week.
one last week.
We did Dwayne's last week.
oops.
Okay.
Okay, never mind.
Alright, we'll move on.
Good.
Building and grounds. I did talk to Kevin Springer, and he never did call me back last week on, sidewalk stuff. So, I guess I'll try to get hold of him again and see what's where's that tractor at, is it up here?
I think it's in,
Road shop? We may
we gonna put the broom on it or what?
repossess it, put the broom
No,
on it,
that's
so.
fine, we aren't gonna be using it.
Right, if they want, if you got somebody that can do it.
We can probably find somebody to, all the stuff's here in
Yeah.
the garage yet.
Put the broom, yeah, if they
Do you
want.
want us to put the broom on it or the blower or
I'd say.
the broom?
Should be enough.
The light
Sidewalks.
smells, it's, yeah, for sidewalks, and kind of stay, I'd say the broom.
Okay,
If you had somebody that can do that later on when they're done chasing snowdrifts.
probably. I wonder if
Oh,
they, did we, I wonder if we kept the cab on it? We probably didn't take, well, anyway,
probably didn't, probably just took the doors off.
could just as well. Yeah, anyway, well, yeah, we'll get it,
Okay.
we'll get it figured out.
Otherwise, Tyler did get some stuff fixed in that boiler room with that sump pump and that, so I know that's done. Boiler's been running, heat's been working, so.
Vice is working on lights.
Yeah, see Bice is here getting our lights switched over, so
So that.
that'll be good. Get those done and off the list.
Public health starts cleaning this week,
Mm-hmm.
so
Satellite and treasures, so. Okay. Top of Iowa water main, I think we can probably take that off now, can't we?
Be done.
Pretty well done,
It's done.
so. Winworth Betco, Melissa?
Just working on, with NIACOG on the, regional housing conference this week.
Is that's not till April though, right?
Yeah, it's not till April, it's just
Oh,
the
okay.
committee meets every month.
Okay, perfect, so. Alrighty, thank you.
Yeah.
People service, Jake.
Hey, guys. I guess just a quick update on everything. I mean, seemed like the project went pretty well until this, right over the holidays. And I think what happened there, some of you maybe are aware, we had a valve that was leaking by and the old tower was already full, and I was aware that it was full. I was just waiting for possibly a little bit warmer day to drain it, which didn't work out, but one of the valves, I think with the cold weather, or the change in the weather, was leaking by, and that's what was causing our overflow this weekend, so, and I apologize, I was out of state and had my work phone off, and I wasn't on call, so
Yeah,
I didn't get any calls, but, thankfully, Jason was able to get a hold of, you guys and through email, and we got Heath involved, and Josh was on call, so, anyway, so the tower is, as best as we can determine, is isolated and it has been drained. I will continue to monitor the hydrant at the base of the old tower, periodically, just to make sure that we're not getting any leak by. And then if that is the case, if we are getting leak by, then we'll have to address that valve, probably sooner rather than later. But I don't see that, I think we got it shut, so.
okay.
Everything else seems to be going pretty well. I had a meeting with the casino maintenance guys, Adam J. Cox, we talked about water hardness and, they expressed to me that they would like to see like a finished water of like 38 parts per million hardness. So my question was, is that what they want coming into the casino, or is that what they want final? Cause they're putting in some additional water softeners, it sounds like, in their facility. So he said he was gonna find that information out and get back to me, so we haven't determined, but,
Softeners have been still operating.
we've been doing, yeah, we've been.
Really
doing
good, right?
pretty I mean, we're, there's no, the problem, I think, or one of the problems is we don't have like an online indication of when, if we get to the end of a cycle or we don't get a good regen and we go from soft water to hard water, I mean, it's basically up to me to catch it. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not testing it all the time, then we could go a few hours with hard water, which, if we're looking for a blend, then we're gonna get a little bit of a blend that way, but for the most part, we've been hanging right in there, for sure under 120, which, I guess I wasn't really sure what we should be aiming for. I mean, I was trying to get as soft as we could.
Right.
And just maintain that as best as possible, so.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanna take it down to nothing, I guess that's up to them, but we should probably just maybe decide a standard that
Right.
we're expected to come out of that plant so that we can have something to go by. This is what we're gonna produce, if you need better than that, you may have to do additional softening to it.
Yeah.
Which I think, and that number is what, 150? I think it's kind of the,
120 is what they say,
so if we can get it,
kind of the threshold.
I'd say if we can get it down into the 70, 80, 60, 80, somewhere in there, that should be plenty good. If they want it below that, I don't know if it's feasible or possible for us to do it. I mean, cause if we're regenerating that much more, we're dumping that much more water, there's more expense to it, but,
Right.
so.
Well, I mean, we can kind of just shoot for that 70 range and just kind of use that as a
Right.
rule of thumb that we're gonna try to just maintain 70 coming out of the plant.
I think so, and if they wanna try to get softer, we can try to, we'll work with them, obviously,
Right.
We don't wanna say, no, this is all you get. If we can find a way to get it down a little more to their likings, then that would be fine. At least the standard should be kind of somewhat, we're trying not to exceed this number,
Well, And we're still in the process with West Tech on the iron filters and, what our next steps are there. Because they didn't actually probe those, they just came up and gave us like a plant audit on equipment. So that atomerator, Jason, I talked to Jason about that, and he said he remembered that is undersized for the plant. So he was gonna get some information, we'll talk more about that.
And that's when we started feeding the permanganate.
Right, because that was an issue that wasn't ever properly working, or,
It was never big enough.
right, that's, yeah. We want the additional chemicals to help with iron removal.
Right.
Which, when that was installed, you actually got a variance from the DNR because it wasn't big enough.
Right.
Well, it didn't work.
But they continued to put it in and finish the project anyways.
Well, the DNR gave you approval to do it, but knowing it wasn't large enough, but it didn't work.
Right.
So we do, we still got a few more hills to climb and,
Sure.
but we're making progress. As you know, I'm by myself now, so things are busy, especially with just regular duties plus sanitary and stuff. And I know that everyone received the updated contract. Just to clear, anything up on that, I don't believe there was an extension of, just extension of the current contract. but just basically, so we had you know, like looking forward as far as hiring an additional person and, but, so that's all that was. I don't think there was an extension to the time period. And the way that I understand it, of course, this is my first time going through this with you guys, so, but the way that I understand it, it was somewhere around 3 to 6 months ahead of contract renewal time when they would send that out anyway, so we're maybe just a couple months ahead of where that is.
Right.
Sure would like to continue with the work that's been done, so.
No, understood. The board has agreed to do an RFP process to get bids. I think it's in the best interest of the county.
Yeah.
To stay competitive. We do it with lawn mowing, we do it with a few acres of hay ground. It's just kind of a general county practice. And I think technically in Iowa code, there is some language that says anything needs to be gone through. When you're signing into a multiple year term, you need to put it back out again, so, Jason will be taking care of that.
So, understood.
Otherwise, no, we can, I guess,
About the DNR.
oh yeah,
All
we
the
got a notice of violation.
Yeah, I got a call from Des Moines last week, and it's funny, I think that he was going on vacation and trying to clear off a bunch of stuff off his desk, because it sounded like we weren't the only ones that this came up, but it was weird because some of the samples that we got the monitoring violations on were part of our SOC sampling that was sent to the lab. And so there's been some problems with coding issues with the lab in Newton with other entities around the state, from what I gathered. So that is I think that's just a clerical issue. The other one was the manganese, which we test for daily. I test for manganese every day. But apparently after our last audit in the spring, they added a once a year manganese it had to be in the third quarter, I believe, manganese test to the lab, which we were under the impression, based on what Jake with Field Office 2 said, the only time we ever needed to send a manganese to the lab was if we got over a 0.300, and that was due to the new state regulations for breastfeeding and mothers and infants. And that's why the manganese levels have changed. But we don't run over a 0.300. So there's, in our minds, there was no reason to send one into the lab. But they are gonna allow us to do a replacement sample on that. The lab sent out bottles, so that was, part of it was oversight on our part, or on my part, I guess. And then part of it was just miscommunication with the lab, so I'm working on getting those things straight, so.
Okay. Sounds good. And you'll take care of the response, and just include us in on that response if you would, or at least Jackie anyway, so we can have record that it went in and just let her know we're good.
Will do.
Anything else?
Oh, not unless you guys have any questions for me.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. All right, department head discussion.
Oh.
Nothing?
Got a couple things. So we'll have our safety committee meeting the 16th. We're moving it off the 9th. There was some conflict with payroll and stuff like that, I think. But the 16th will probably be after 10 o'clock and stuff like that. There's, looking ahead on the agendas, there's a few hearings and stuff.
Okay, we
So,
have public hearing at,
yeah, 9:30, I believe. There's something at 9 too, so.
yeah.
So that'll be at 10 o'clock, and along with the safety committee, it's in December is when we usually do our annual safety manual review and stuff like that. So I will send an email out to the department heads to start that and stuff, but one of the things in that is there is a section in the manual that deals with loss or return to work program, and I know that's one of the things that's in the revised or the work in progress revision of the employee handbook. So once the new employee handbook or the revised handbook comes out, I wanna go through that, and anything that's in conflict within the safety manual, I wanna pull it out, because I don't think, the last thing we wanna do is have two conflicting policies and stuff like that. Anything that's in the handbook should be the policy and not in there. So once we see that handbook is finished, that's one thing I will do. So we may have a revision along with not only the annual, but we may have a secondary revision whenever that handbook gets finished up from Renee and stuff, so.
Yeah.
And then approved by the board of supervisors.
They gotta match. We can't have.
Well, yeah,
conflicting
we
policies.
can't have conflicting policies, that leaves too much confusion and gray area up there, so.
Yep.
I mean, we can put a thing in the safety handbook or in the safety manual, we can say, there is in the employee handbook, there is a section that refers to return to work, see that for any information you would like about that, and that's all it needs to say. The other thing I have, and this probably goes for Jason more, is, have your electrical engineer, when he's talking, doing the work for the, conservation building, plan into the electrical part of there, a hookup for the conservation has a PTO powered generator. A connection for that, so that can be done correctly by code. For that building.
I'll get a size on that from Jim.
Yep. And then also I would, and this is just a recommendation from the EMA. When you plan you do your design for the secondary roads office and conservation office and that facility, give consideration to either one, some sort of standby generator that would power at least essential functions in that office and building and the fuel station, or a hookup that we have a couple of portable diesel generators that we could hook them up to. I mean, the best case scenario would be one that's already there that automatically comes on and stuff, but
Overhead doors,
yes.
especially, how are we gonna get out if power goes out?
Overhead doors, the heat, the fuel station, and that kind of stuff. I think those are, if you're gonna build a new facility, that's things that you really,
Should have.
that's the best time to incorporate that kind of stuff.
There's small expenses too, the generators. In the
But
long
if,
run.
if you can't, if it's, having a generator there is expensive, at least put the hookup for a portable one to be brought into
Put
and,
the transfer switch in to
Yeah, put the
run the
transfer
essentials.
and if they need to know the size of the generators we have or the hookups and stuff like that, they can just get a hold of me and I can let them know what we have.
Good idea. Thank you, Mark.
You bet.
Any other department heads?
I was just wondering, as far as comp board meeting date or
I
status?
haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay.
Soon, they gotta get them the new info on what they need, their homework they need to get done, so. Yeah. And then we've also gotta figure out a new salary for the sheriff, so. It's part of that, has to go, there, that info has to go with, yep, so. New headaches, but we'll get through them. Anything else, department head wise? All right, supervisor weekly, Mark.
We just, Board of Health, met and did a review for Shanna. Kind of gotta do a yearly for the director's review, so. That's all we had, and then Diane did announce, which it's on there, that she'll be done at the end of the year, so we'll need another public health board member, so.
Okay. Didn't we have a couple?
Got some other applications, so, last time, if they'd wanna refresh them and put them back in, that would be the proper way to do it, I guess,
So
that
we
way
had
we'll have them.
Thought we had 3 or 4 and we took
You just took one,
the one, cause she had been on there.
Yep.
Right,
took on it, added her, but yeah,
I guess we
Diane's
can,
done, so.
yeah. we can reach out to the others that were there, see if they're still interested.
Yep.
Okay, sounds good to me. That it?
That's all I had, yep.
Okay. I had, what did I have? Oh, Care Connections. Last week, we had a pretty light agenda, we just did a Zoom meeting. So the RFP was sent in, and they did have a meeting. I think there's 7 or 9 people that or groups that put in for the RFP. And after everybody submitted them, they decided to get together again and ask if anybody wanted to take the whole state. Now all of a sudden, there's, I think, 5 of those decided to bid the whole state, which is absolutely not what we want,
No,
including Polk County.
of course.
So, we're hoping that that's people that wanting to bid the entire state don't get like the upper hand or it's a point system. Hopefully they don't get the extra points and puts them at a higher grade than the others, because I don't think it's gonna be a good thing for any of the regions or districts, whatever they're gonna be now, so hopefully they take a lot of that into consideration, especially with the ones that just bid their areas. Let them stick to their areas that they've been providing services in, cause there's really nothing new, it's all the regions that were there bidding on these new districts, so. We're not sure what's gonna happen, we're hoping, we've actually postponed or moved our December meeting into January. Just because they're supposed to know, I think by the 18th or something like that, and we're supposed to meet on the 23rd, so we decided to move it to the following week. Just for the fact of, hopefully we'll have an answer of what's going on by the time we meet again, so. More to come there, I guess, and hopefully it doesn't go to one, we all did have this eerie feeling that that's what the state wants, and that's not
the
what
way
the
they're
people,
doing everything else.
and that's
so,
not what
I
the
mean,
people need, but,
Oh, we just fixed it.
yeah, so hopefully it'll go the right direction, but that's all I had last week. So we need to find a board member for public health,
Yep.
and then, North Iowa Regional Housing Authority. If we're looking at that a little more yet, means we're in the last month now. Okay. Also then, now that it's getting closer, before we forget, are we just gonna not meet the 30th? And just
Sounds
do
good to me.
January 2nd, that Thursday? Okay. So there will be no meeting on December 30th, we'll just have it January 2nd, Thursday, just to open the year up. Right, otherwise I think that's it. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I will second that motion. All in favor, aye.
Back.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned.